Hi everyone, welcome back. Today's video is in response to a tag I received from Dave Outdoors to do a video on 5 wild camping tips for beginners. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm going to start off with one absolute overarching principle, which is the ethos of wild camping, in that you leave no trace. I know everyone said this on their beginners tips videos, but this is so important. I mean, if you're going to go off wild camping, you're going to be carrying all your stuff in there, and beers and sandwiches and all the bits you're going to enjoy when you're there. So it's just as easy to take them back with you than to leave them there. Apart from the fact that you're damaging the environment and potentially harming the wildlife, then from a very selfish point of view as a wild camper, if we carry on littering and trashing in the outdoors, then the rules are going to get stricter. You know, no one's going to want you anywhere near their land if they know that they've got a big clear up process to do the next day. So don't spoil it for everyone, don't destroy the outdoors. It's beautiful, it's here for all of us. Just take your trash home with you. I do realise, of course, that I'm not speaking to the right audience here, and that anyone who's watching this video on wild camping is highly unlikely to be the sort of person that would leave trash behind. But I just think it's important that we keep getting that message out there. Okay, now we've got that one out of the way. Now, whether this is your first wild camp or simply your first camp off a campsite, then obviously you're going to this time be relying completely on everything you take with you. You haven't got any regress to anything else. So you need to be really confident of the gear you have with you. So for this reason and others, I'd suggested you first camp in your garden. There's lots of good reasons for this. You can practice putting everything up, your tent up in different weathers. You can test out all your gear, the new mat you've bought. It's not a great idea to take something out. You know, like everyone says, don't wear new hiking boots for a long hike, break them in first. It's quite similar with gear, really. If you try it out in your garden and then you can trust it, it's going to be you're going to feel a lot more confident when you're out wild camping. Another reason to camp in your garden is you can get used to some of those noises. A leaf falling on your tent can sound really loud, and the sound of the wind can sometimes sound like people talking, and grass rustling against your tent. All these things you can get used to before you're actually out there in the outdoors. So tip number 2 is camp out in your garden. I am actually a big fan of testing out gear as much as you can in your garden or close to home before you get out there miles from anywhere. And I have learnt this by experience. And so very soon after I was tired, so I made my Nalgene bottle, hot water bottle, which was amazing, and snuggled in. And yeah, I went to sleep quite soon. I woke up at 2 AM feeling a bit cold, and I realised that my sleeping mat had deflated. So I sat there in this enclosed space and blew this up and snuggled back in again, put on my buff and my hat to try and warm up a bit. And the same thing happened at 3 AM and the same thing happened at 4 AM. But anyway, I just blew it up, and what can you do? You just get on with it, and it was fine, really. Tip number 3 is actually a follow-on from the last tip I mentioned, mentioning the noises that you're going to hear. If you're going out into woodland, then you're going to hear a lot of noises during the night. And what I did, and it helped me such a lot, and it's helped lots of my friends, before you go, find out what wildlife is likely to be in the area you're going, which will obviously be completely different depending on which part of the world you're in, and familiarise yourself with the noises they make. So this is what I did. And then, of course, there are the animal noises. Now, in the UK, the things you're most likely to hear at night time would be badgers, foxes, deer, owls, hedgehogs, things like that. And if you can get used to what these things sound like, and I will admit some of them are quite alarming, then it will help you enormously. The 2 things I've heard most when I've been out camping have been a tawny owl and a fox. And I have if you listen here. So this one's the tawny owl. It's really rather lovely to lie in your tent and listen to that. I had one that was in a tree right next to my tent on my very last multi-day solo, and oh, it was just beautiful lying there listening to that. So that's the tawny owl. Now the next one, which is the most alarming one, I would think, of everything you could hear, is the fox, because it does tend to be a bit like a human scream. Don't let that put you off, but here's the fox. See what I mean? But I mean, once you know what it is, and you can think, ah, that's a fox, ah, that's a badger, then your fears will definitely diminish. One of the loudest things I heard early in the morning, very early in the morning, was incredibly loud snuffling just outside the door of my tent, and it turned out to be a hedgehog. And when hedgehogs are looking for food, they make this snuffling noise, and it is incredibly loud when you're in your tent. But as I said, if you know this and you're familiar with it, then there's nothing to be afraid of. It's a hedgehog. I've just played you the tawny owl and the red fox, which is common if you're out and about here in the UK. But, you know, if you just do a Google and find out which animals you're likely to hear in the night when you're camping, then you can go online and download, and there are loads and loads of audio clips online for you to listen to the sounds that they're likely to make. Tip number 4 is to plan and prepare. So you're going to want to choose somewhere on the map that looks suitable for your camp. You're going to want to check all your gear, double check you've got everything packed. You're going to want to tell somebody where you're going, just in case anything happens, and they'll know vaguely the area you've gone to. And you're going to obviously want to check the weather. So there's quite a lot of pre-planning involved, and the more pre-planning you can do to an extent, the more successful your wild camp will be. There's always going to be the unexpected when you're out there, and to me, actually, that's part of the fun of it. When you're out there and things crop up, and they will, it's really actually quite confidence building to sort it all out by yourself. There's no way you can prepare for absolutely every eventuality, but if you've done some preparation at home and you've covered as much as you think you possibly can before you set off, then that would be my tip. So tip number 4 is to plan and prepare as much as you can before you even leave the house. Now my final tip, and just to mention, these tips are not in any order of importance apart from the first one, leave no trace. My final tip is about water, and I think this is really prominent in my mind because I actually ran out of water once on a trip, as you can see here.
Now let's talk about another mistake I made on this trip, and that was that I listened to advice of someone I met yesterday, and I wasn't actually sure, it didn't sit right with me, I wasn't sure it was the right thing to do, but this morning I decided to take that advice, and it was the wrong thing to do. A chap I met said that I didn't need to carry 2 litres of water as I was every day, because there were plenty of places to top up as I went along on the trail. I allowed myself to be persuaded by that, and today, this morning, I just took 1 litre of water, and as you can see by these pictures, I am weaving all over the place. I was incredibly thirsty towards the end of the day, and if it hadn't have been for handfuls, big luscious handfuls of blackberries lining the route, I really don't know how I'd have kept, my mouth moist and how I'd have kept going. It really gave me a boost. So it's great to take people's advice, but always listen to your intuition.
It's really important to work out before you go where you're going to get your water from. Are you going to take it with you and have enough for your overnight or 2-night camp or whatever? Do you know you'll be near a water source? And if so, do you have purification treatment system to take with you, like a Sawyer Mini or a Kaatje bee-free bottle or something like that? If I'm going out for just one night, then I'll take my water with me. But I really, really like to wild camp near a water source. There's something really nice about not taking too much water with you and being able to gather it when you get there, but you do have to obviously purify it and make sure it's safe to drink. I mean, I've got this little stream here running by me, and it's brown. The colour's brown because of the minerals in it, but this would be great. It's about sort of this deep running by at the moment, and I could just dip my bottle into there and go through the purification. So this, to me, I've got a tree to hang my backpack, I've got a nice flat space here, I've got some water. The only thing that would stop me camping here is this tree, which is so great for my backpack, has got some quite big branches on it, and it's not a good idea to sleep underneath where branches might potentially fall onto you in the night. So those are my 5 tips. Leave no trace, camp out in your garden, familiarise yourself with the animal noises you're going to hear, plan and prepare, and make sure you know where you're going to get your water from for your trip. I hope you found these tips useful. Thanks so much for the tag, Dave. Go over and look at Dave's channel. It's really good. He's a really fun guy, Dave Outdoors. Now my job is to tag 5 people to carry on this video of beginners wild camping tips. Let's see. So I picked out, I don't know if they've done this video before, but if you haven't, Rob's Adventures, Karen's Gone Wild, the Adventure Geek, the Camping Astronomer, and Steps by Kaatje. I will link all the YouTube channels down in the description below, so do go and check out their channels. These are all great people who interact, respond, comment. Great channels, obviously great channels. It is social media after all, we're supposed to be social, so do go and check out their channels. I think you'll like them. So if you do like this kind of content, please do consider subscribing to the channel. And if it's wild camping particularly, I do have a couple of more videos you might be interested. One is about getting over the fear of wild camping, and the other one is how to wild camp and get away with it. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.